welcome into our gentle morning yoga class here today, first of the new year, and I'm so glad to have all of you present with me, as well as anybody who might be tuning in later. Thank you so much for continuing to come back into the flow. For today, we'll go ahead and just start from a seated place or a grounded space. That could be with a cushion underneath you for some support. Sometimes elevating the hips a little bit above the knees can help relax the lower legs and the lower body, give us a comfortable starting place. You can also use a rolled up yoga mat, a blanket, a towel, anything like that, a throw pillow that you might have around. And as we get started today, just allowing ourselves to recognize the seat, bringing that awareness and consciousness down into the sit bones, the attachments where the femurs and the upper legs kind of meet pelvis. Maybe allowing ourselves to feel through how we are supported on the earth through our bodies. Allowing ourselves to start to also breathe down deep as we allow ourselves awareness of the low body, and also giving breath into this space. And for this, you might imagine yourself breathing all the way down into the toes, maybe filling up the feet. Maybe allowing the ankles to be full of breath and life. Maybe you soften through the calves. Maybe even allowing them to expand a little bit more with each breath.
Alia, there's a bit of squeaking, I think, on your audio.
Okay.
I'll mute myself, just make sure it's not me.
What do you mean by squeaking?
Like maybe your audio, do you have something squeaking?
Let me see if I can turn the heater off, and if that helps at all, I don't know. Is there any more clarity with it there? Is there anything?
Yeah.
More? Yeah? Okay. Let's keep the heater on.
What was your...
Thank you. Good feedback. If it continues to be a problem, please do let me know. Okay. So as we settle back in, allowing yourself again to just connect with the low body, giving breath to the space. As we find our way into settling the ground and grounding the low body, noticing if there's any resistance, allowing yourself to be aware if there is pain or injury, tightness, resistance here, just in the sense of being able to relax or soften. From this kind of grounded foundation, maybe allowing ourselves to tilt the top of the pelvis a little bit forward. Maybe coming to draw the navel in toward the spine a little bit deeper. Lifting up through the heart space and opening it by drawing the shoulders back and down here. Hands might just rest gently in the lap or by the side. And giving yourself space to also fill through the low belly, the rib cage, and even maybe up into the collarbones with each breath. Gently releasing the breath, maybe with the exhale, drawing the navel in toward the spine a little bit here. So maybe even breathing all the way down into the toes, all the way up through the torso to the collarbones. And with the exhale, relaxing from the top and all the way down. And that might feel like a lot of things to think about. That's okay. No need to attach yourself to one outcome. However you experience this practice is good and is right for you. Just offering a little bit of a challenge in that mindfulness space. The more things we can try to bring into focus, perhaps the less extraneous thoughts are coming through. And giving ourselves a chance to notice more fully our whole selves present here with us today. If you'd like to add some movement with the breath, maybe giving yourself a little bit of seated cat-cow flow with the inhale, opening the front of the body, lifting the heart, maybe the gaze as well. Pressing the front of the body open with the exhale, rounding the back and tucking the chin. Squeezing the breath out. With the next inhale, again opening forward, lifting the heart. Expanding the front body. With the exhale, rounding the back, expanding the back body, stretching the spine. Allow yourself to flow a few times back and forth. I'll turn to the side for a little bit of perspective. Allowing yourself to drop into the flow and the pace that feels right for you. No need to try to match my rhythm. Just allow this practice to be true for yourself. And if this doesn't work for you or doesn't feel good, you can try minimizing it, doing very gentle or very small movements, or perhaps changing it completely and doing something very different. Maybe taking another round or two here as you choose. Full breath in and full breath out. Allowing yourself to move for the entire duration of both the in-breath and the out-breath. When you feel complete there, maybe allowing yourself to rise back up through center with a nice lift through the crown of the head, shoulders away from the ears, and the shoulder blades as flat on the back as possible. Good. Allowing ourselves a little bit of time to take some side stretch, so maybe taking a lift with the arms and the breath together. With the exhale, maybe taking the right hand to ground. You might lift up through the left arm and then over with the exhale. We'll take some time, about 5 breaths or so for each side. Noticing that we can adapt this shape by rotating the upper shoulder back and down a little bit more. Maybe extension through the arm feels good to you. Maybe taking the gaze up toward the ceiling, or just leaving it neutral and center can be helpful. Noticing what it feels like to stretch the side of the body. Does the body want to give you a little bit more space? You might go a little deeper. Does it feel already overstretched or forced into kind of being here? You might back out 5 or 10%. Maybe finding one more breath or so, however you need it. When you're ready to shift, taking an inhale back through center, maybe the thumbs come to touch. With the exhale, maybe the left hand or the second hand drops low to the floor, lifting up through the arm first and then over to the side. Good, so keeping the side of the body nice and long, the spine itself stretched and long. Maybe you roll that top shoulder back and down or extend through the arm. Choosing here how you like to be. Breathing through the whole self. Noticing if you need any changes, a little bit less, a little bit more. Maybe taking another breath or two here if you choose. When you feel ready to come back to center, lifting back with an inhale. Good. With an exhale, inviting you to come to cactus arms or goddess arms. Some people call these goalposts. As we bring the elbows to about 90 degrees, you can look side to side and check your angle. See the thumbs pointing directly toward your head, so the palms face the front. And then gently drawing the elbows back behind you as far as possible. Really opening here from the shoulder girdle. Good. If you like to just kind of breathe with this stretch, you might stay here. If you want to create a little bit of movement and flow, maybe taking an inhale to press those hands up. Maybe those thumbs come to touch. And with the exhale, drawing the elbows back and down as we come back to about that 90-degree angle. Good. So this is a way of just helping us to open up to the shoulder girdle. Rising with the inhale, exhaling, maybe back down the shoulder height. So you can take this as fast or as slow as your breath allows. You might give yourself 4 or 5 rounds here depending on your will or your needs. This might not work for you, and that's okay. You can change the shape or maybe practice some gentle neck rolls instead. If you like this gentle challenge, maybe just continuing to see how far back You can draw those elbows, helping maybe to flatten the shoulder blades on the back. Maybe taking one more round or so here. Good. Allowing ourselves to release these arms all the way down when you're ready. Maybe giving ourselves a little juicy shoulder roll here. Really pressing the shoulders far up toward the ears and far down. Maybe you move with the breath, inhaling as you rise the shoulders up and exhaling as you drop them back down. Lots of ways to be here with this movement. Good. Taking another moment or two here for yourself. You might even just need to kind of shake or wiggle any stress or tension out. It can be a lot of arm work as well, a lot of strength building with that little flow. So we want to just give ourselves that chance to come back to kind of neutral. Good. From here, we'll go ahead and switch toward hands and knees. So if you'd like to rotate to face more toward the ground, maybe clearing the mat of any cushions. You might use a blanket underneath the knees or underneath the wrists here for support, especially if there's carpal tunnel or sensitivity. You might just gently fold the mat back and cushion the base of the palms a little bit more. Good. From our place here on all fours, offering a chance to kind of take the tail side to side, wagging the tail a little bit here, just to start to warm up through the hip. Starting to notice here if you feel tenderness, tension, tightness. If there are spaces that feel more closed, you might offer some breath or just even awareness into what you feel here. Good. Bringing it back to center, inviting in an articulated cat-cow today, which means that we're just going to try to move each part of the spine individually, starting with the tailbone, taking the deep breath in, allowing the tailbone to lift, the belly to drop, and then the chest to lift and the gaze to come up. With the exhale, starting again with the tailbone, tilting the tailbone under, wrapping the abs under. Good. Starting to round through the spine, and then the last thing that tucks is the chin here. Slow and purposeful movement, starting with the tilt of the tail first, allowing the curve to travel up the body. Same thing with the exhale, tilting the tail first, allowing the spine to round gently one vertebra at a time. If this doesn't work for you, feel free to practice the regular cat-cow, moving the whole spine in succession. If you like this challenge, you might notice it just takes a little bit more strength and control to allow yourself to move consciously one vertebra at a time as much as possible. So still flowing with the breath, allowing the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale to guide the movement. Maybe taking another round or two here as you choose. Taking your focus deep into the body, what do you notice? Allowing yourself, if you'd like to come back to a neutral spine when you're ready. Maybe for today, walking the hands forward while keeping the hips nice and high over the knees. Relaxing the chest down toward the ground. Maybe the forehead comes to touch here. Sometimes call this a melted heart or a puppy pose. If it doesn't feel good to you to keep the arms extended, you can bend into the elbows a little bit or even just take one arm at a time, stretched out, maybe bending the other hand to meet the opposite elbow as such. So choosing for yourself how you like to be here. If you are practicing one arm at a time, you might switch when you feel about the halfway point. We'll take about an even number of breaths here for the second half of the shape. And noticing here too where there might be resistance. Is the shoulder holding on? Is the belly gripping? Can you soften wherever possible and add strength where you need it? breath or two here if you choose. Keeping the arms grounded here. Just going to snake the body forward, releasing the hips toward the ground and drawing it up into Sphinx pose. So lifting up through the chest this time. Forearms are grounded and supporting on the elbows and the palms of the hands. The legs can just be soft behind you. You might even just take the tail side to side a little bit to check softness in the low body. Maybe rolling those shoulders back and down one more time to make sure they're as far away from the ears as possible. Maybe taking a little lift through the crown of the head or finding a little bit more length in the back of the neck here. Nice deep breath. Noticing where you find that stretch or resistance and giving breath to those places. Maybe the low body is trying to tense up and be supportive. And checking with yourself, does it really need to? Does that support you in some way? Or is that just a reaction to a sense of unsafety? We'll give it one more breath or so here in Sphinx. An option with the exhale to release the chest down. Bring the hands directly beneath the shoulders. And come up with the next inhale to lift just the heart off the floor. This is a low cobra shape. The elbows stay tucked in by the sides of the body here. The gaze can be straight down or a little bit up. Just allowing yourself to stay with some length in the back of the neck. Hands can support you. You might even practice lifting the hands off the ground and just using the back strength. And if you do so, you might find yourself pressing the tops of the feet into the ground a little bit more to help support. Offering one more breath or so here in this space. With the exhale, bringing the cheek down to one side, relaxing the arms by the sides of the body. Again, you might just take the tailbone side to side here, just to relax the low back. Maybe come to find a quiet, still space and give yourself a few rounds of breath. As we do so, this is a constructive rest. We're asking the body to relax as fast and efficiently as possible, letting go of every muscle, releasing all tension, even considering allowing the bones to be a little bit soft here, even if that's just an imagination. Giving it all away, maybe taking another breath or two here to find softness. When you feel ready to bring the chin back to center, you might bring those hands back to the floor beneath the shoulders, or you might choose this time to lift the chest without the support of the hands. And the arms can just stay extended back by the body. Maybe the palms are facing the ground, pinkies in toward the legs, thumbs out by the sides, to help open through the shoulders. So that's an open rotation. Maybe those palms rotate toward the ground, maybe even a little bit forward. Helping us to pin the shoulder blades against the back. Maybe here too, we're pressing the tops of the feet into the ground a little bit more. Again, if you like that low cobra shape, instead, feel free to go there. Giving yourself lots of breath for this lift. This is major cardio, even if it's a subtle shape. I'm going to fuel it with breath. Challenge is one more inhale. Releasing down with the exhale, the opposite cheek can come to the ground. Again, maybe a little wag of the tail here if that feels good to you. You might turn the backs of the hands to the floor to soften them. And then again, taking 3 to 5 breaths and rest, relaxing as efficiently as you can, giving everything away. And why is it important to practice rest? When we find ourselves getting stressed or worked up, when we attune to that feeling in ourselves, we want to practice also the ability to release and come back to a grounded, neutral place. And this is what we're conditioning our nervous system to do through this little series. Finding the intensity of the stretch and then giving ourselves that softness to balance out and practice that sense of release. Maybe taking another breath or two here. Giving it all away. And when you feel ready for the next round, maybe bringing that chin back to center once again. An option again to visit either that low cobra pose, that half locust that we were just in, or if you'd like to, come into the full locust and practice lifting the legs and the chest off the ground together. So again, we're rotating the palms toward the floor or even a little bit forward, helping to pin the shoulder blades to the back. Lifting high through the chest, high through the legs. Maybe finding that balance point somewhere on the belly of the pelvis. A lot of strength and energy here, so giving yourself some patience. Lots of breath. You're always welcome to release the shape sooner than I might invite, and that's totally okay, taking care of yourself. Maybe taking one more breath here if you like that challenge. Maybe even lifting a little higher with this next inhale. Releasing down to the floor when you're ready. Maybe that first cheek comes back to the floor. Maybe taking that tail side to side a little bit, relaxing through the low back. Giving yourself those 3 to 5 rounds of breath here. Softening as much as possible. Maybe taking another 2 or so rounds if you like. We'll give ourselves time for one more variation, the bow pose, if that works for you today. If not, feel free to take any of the other options or even just stay and rest. If this feels good to you and this meets your needs, this is a very valid, very helpful practice just to notice being soft. If you want to follow me into the full bow pose, I invite you to bend the knees and take the feet up toward the hips here. Chin back to center. You might find you can reach back and clasp either the tops of the feet or the ankles, kind of depending on your flexibility. And that might be enough stretch for you. You might not want to go any further. And that's okay. You can hang out here just giving yourself a little bit of quad stretch. If you like to go a little bit deeper here, taking a deep inhale to prepare. And full exhale out. With the next in-breath, pressing the feet into the hands, allowing the tension between the two to lift the chest, even help to lift the legs off the ground a little bit more. Again, that balance point comes onto the pelvis or the belly. You might even press the feet back behind you a little bit more to help open through the shoulder girdle. Maybe noticing the shoulder blades squeezing strongly together on the back. Giving it another breath or two. Not stressing yourself out here, relaxing when you feel ready. Maybe giving it one more breath if you choose. And when you feel ready to release with the exhale, taking yourself back down to ground. The knees may stay bent and you might just windshield wiper those feet side to side to help relax the low back this time. Very nice. Go ahead and relax those legs back down. We'll give it just another couple of breaths here to rest, that efficient, constructive rest. Finding that quiet place for yourself to just be here. One more breath or so. Maybe bringing the chin back to center when you're ready. Palms can come beneath the shoulders. An option to roll the shoulders back and down as we find a nice strong push-up. And sending ourselves back into a child's pose. So hips come toward the heels, rounding the spine down. Arms can stay soft in front or tuck in by the sides. You choose. Releasing the forehead toward the floor. It may or may not touch. You can also stack the palms or fists to make a little forehead pillow for yourself. And then give yourself that gentle rest and breath here. This is our counter pose to all of those nice back bends, giving the chance for the spine to round the other direction, to release any tension. Maybe giving it 1 or 2 more breaths as you choose. And when you're ready, maybe walking those hands a little bit further down the mat in front of you. Stretching through the arms and shoulders. An option to rise back up here through table pose. Maybe take a few moments just to breathe and be here. You might sway the hips or stretch the spine. If you like a little bit more, you might tuck the toes underneath here and raise yourself up into downward facing dog. So the hips come high, the heels stay back and down toward the ground. They may or may not touch. Kind of depends on how close the feet are to the hands. Maybe pressing the heart down between the arms a little bit deeper, relaxing the neck here. You may also check, is there weight in the fingers, the fingertips? Or can you support yourself a little bit more with the fingers and release some of the stress from the wrists themselves? So from here we'll work our way towards standing. So if you have that downward facing dog shape, or you'd like to take it and walk the feet toward the hands with little steps, feel free to do that. If you need a bigger, safer step, you can ground the knees. Come with 1 foot forward at a time and hands bracing on the leg to help step and rise more carefully. We'll go ahead and meet in that forward fold shape. So if you did come all the way up, go ahead and release yourself back down. If you were down, feel free to stay. Feet about hip width distance or a little bit closer. Allow yourself to maybe hinge forward from the hips if that's available to you. If it's not or doesn't feel comfortable, maybe you're taking a bend in the knees and placing the elbows there. From here you can also hang the head and neck, relaxing the upper back and giving yourself a little bit more space here. If that doesn't work for you and you need to keep the head and heart kind of on the same plane, feel free to come to a halfway fold or a halfway lift. Where the back is flat, the legs are more or less straight, and the hands just support on the knees or the shins themselves. So those are a few options of forward fold that we will offer or revisit as we move into the next phase of our standing flow. Feel free to adapt for yourself in any of these levels as you may need. It doesn't have to look like my practice or anybody else's. You are here to help yourself be well. Part of that is having the courage to recognize your limitations and respect them. So go ahead and take in that final couple of breaths in a forward fold, whatever that looks like for you. When you're ready to release the shape, maybe bending into the knees and starting to roll up 1 vertebra at a time. Nice and slow, kind of that like the articulated cat-cow. Giving ourselves a chance to unfurl slowly. Stretch the connections between each of those vertebrae. Good. As we find our way to standing, maybe taking a little shoulder roll here. It can be both directions if you like, or just one direction. Good. Allowing ourselves to start to settle the movement, come back just into the simple stance of mountain pose. So maybe coming to choose your feet. That might be hip width distance or a little bit closer. The narrower the feet, the more concentrated that stance is and the more balance challenge you may find there. So make sure that you're comfortable in your stance. Maybe inviting the palms to face forward, and we'll just add that little bit of strength to each part of the body one by one, starting with the bottoms of the feet, imagining kind of the roots digging deep into the earth from the base of the big toe, the base of the little toe, and the heel. Noticing that we have the inner arches of the feet, but not just those arches that support us. There's also an arch that bridges the base of the toes between the big toe pad and the little toe pad, as well as from the base of the little toe back to the heel. There's a third arch there. So maybe for today, noticing or practicing lift in all of these directions as the foundation of our stance. Bringing awareness to what it's like to be here grounded on the earth. Giving ourselves a chance to add strength into the calf muscles and the shins, hugging them in toward the bones. Adding strength by lifting the kneecaps, strengthening through the quadriceps and the hamstrings here. Taking that tilt of the tailbone underneath us to help engage through the hip area. Maybe drawing the navel in toward the spine here. Giving ourselves that chance to expand the breath all the way around the rib cage. Keeping the lift up through the heart, shoulders down and away from the ears. And that last little lift of the crown of the head, so stretching the axial direction of the spine, that space between the vertebrae. So with the foundation of mountain pose, try to keep awareness and keep strength in all of these different places as much as possible. That might be a skill that we build on over the course of days or weeks or months or years. Doesn't have to happen all at once, but just bringing that awareness to tune into what we notice here. With a deep breath, maybe inviting the hands out and up. You might bring the palms together, maybe take a little lift in the heart or a back bend at the top. With the exhale, allow ourselves to flow down into any depth of fold. You can stop halfway, find that ski pose, bent elbows and knees, or that full forward fold for yourself. With the next inhale, finding a halfway lift or that half fold if you aren't there already. If you are, just go ahead and stay. Invitation with the next exhale to either flow down into a deeper fold or stay where you are. With the next inhale, bending into the knees, lifting the heart and the gaze. Rising up to standing with the full in-breath. Again, back bend option at the top. And exhaling to bring the hands back in toward heart center. That's our standing flow. So we'll go again. Deep breath in to flow up. Lifting with the inhale, maybe taking back bend. Exhaling to come forward and down. Releasing the head and neck at the bottom if you can. Inhale, maybe rise into half lift or staying there. Exhaling back down into any depth of fold if you like. Deep breath in, maybe bending the knees, lifting the gaze and heart. Rising back up to standing, maybe back bend. Exhaling hands to center, good. We'll take a couple more rounds here, just like that. Maybe you have a sense of where the body is going at this time. You can just drop into that moving meditation. Knowing there's one movement for each phase of the breath. Follows that gentle flow of breath when we expand the body or lift up. We're taking an inhale. Anytime we're condensing the shape or closing down, we're experiencing an exhale. Dropping into that intuition. Moving the breath and the body together. Finding your way through these shapes, flowing with your breath. Go ahead and take one more round for yourself if you like to, or take that time to do anything else that might feel good in your own body. We'll go ahead and, from center here, step the feet out a little bit wider, perhaps along the plane of the mat here. If you like to, you can lift the arms out to the shoulders, or if you need a little less, you might just take them to the hips. You can choose. Just a little bit of a rock side to side if you like to. We'll go ahead and invite a little bit of triangle pose here today. So taking the right toes and turning them toward the long edge of the mat. Left toes are going to open here to the side, the short edge of the mat. So if you were to meet the heels, they would make a 90-degree angle. Good. From here, inviting ourselves to press the right hip or kind of the back hip back. Tilt the weight forward over the front leg or the left leg here. When you can't reach any further, we're going to tilt down, connecting the hand there toward the leg. It could also come to a block, a book, or a piece of furniture for stability. And then lifting up through the right arm directly over the shoulder. Not so much like as back as you can go. Straight up over the shoulder and reaching through those fingertips. Good. The gaze can come down toward the foot or up toward the hand. You can choose there what you like. And taking time to breathe into the shape. Maybe you notice a little side body stretch here. You might tilt the tailbone a little bit more and accentuate that stretch. Maybe taking one more breath or so if you like. Full exhale. And with the next in-breath, just taking ourselves back on the same journey we got here. Tilting up, readjusting here towards center, and then turning those toes back to even. Good. Maybe taking that little tilt through the hips, side to side. And we'll just take the same flow here to the second side when you're ready. This time left toes turning toward the long edge of the mat, right toes turning toward the short edge. Noticing the alignment of the heels. You might adjust the stance a little bit here. This time pressing through the left hip or the back hip, reaching through the right arm or the front arm, tilting back down here when you're ready. And lifting up straight through those upper fingers. Gaze maybe coming down toward the foot or up toward the sky, you can choose. Maybe strengthening through the legs and the feet, just like in mountain pose. Giving ourselves the chance to be here in the body with some strength and intention. Noticing how the breath flows, if there's anything that needs to change or adjust to make the breath more fluid or more open. Noticing what else you are experiencing. Does it work for you? Is it time to let it go? When you feel ready to release the shape, giving yourself that inhale to rise back up. Turn those toes back towards center a little bit. Maybe again shifting those hips side to side. You might even relax the arms and you'll get a little more wiggly with it. Bouncing into the knees here. Very good. We'll go ahead and keep that wide stance, the toes turned out to the sides. Inviting those arms maybe back up towards shoulder height, or if you like to take the goddess arms, we'll move into that full goddess pose. The heels turn a little bit inward here, sitting the hips down, straight down from center. So you notice ears, shoulders, and hips are all stacked up. For some people, they go to make that dip and they end up leaning forward or sticking their booty back. Really trying as hard as you can to keep the tailbone tucked under and just drop straight down. You can also notice I'm working to draw those elbows back behind like we practiced earlier. Shoulders away from the ears to create space. Nice deep breaths here. You don't have to stay in the kind of the dip or the squat. You can come back up and set back in when you're ready. Noticing the deeper you go, the harder you work the shape. So you choose your intensity. We'll give it 2 or 3 more breaths here at your level. Being kind to yourself. Honest with what you need and letting go of the rest. Good. Maybe 1 more breath here if you like it. When you're ready on an inhale to stand it back up. Woo, extending those arms and legs. Again, you can wiggle, shake, or bounce to release some of that tension. Offering from here, time to go into a forward fold. So you might turn those heels back out a little bit as we lean the upper body down. Maybe taking the hands to the floor here for support, or if you'd like to go a little bit deeper, you can just relax through the spine. Hands can stretch out in front or even walk through the legs, maybe helping you to fold a little bit deeper forward, perhaps. Again, head and neck can relax here as you choose. This is time for a gentle inversion in our forward fold. Feel free to take it as you like. Good. An option to then walk the hands back towards center, more or less kind of directly underneath the face. Giving ourselves a little bit of a twist shape here. Right hand stays grounded, left arm can rise up and open. So kind of like triangle pose where the shoulder and the wrist and fingers are all stacked vertically. And then we reach through those fingers like we're sending our, I don't know, superpowers up to the sky, like a laser beam. Reaching through the whole arm from the center, the core of our being. Extending our energy up. Maybe noticing where there's stretch or sensation here. Could be the inner side of that right leg, perhaps. Giving breath to those places that feel closed or tight. And just gently helping them to open a little bit more with each in-breath. Giving it another breath or two here if you like. With an exhale, allow yourself to release down when you are ready. You can stay a little longer if you really enjoy that shape. And then we'll just switch sides as you feel ready. This time maybe rising up through the right arm, the left hand staying grounded underneath the face. When the right arm finds vertical, then stretching up from the core of the body through the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, and the fingers. Nice deep breath here. Noticing what the body needs in terms of strength or softness. Maybe the jaw can relax a little bit. Maybe noticing where you can take that breath for the most benefit. Giving it another breath or two here, perhaps. Maybe one more inhale. Maybe exhaling when you're ready to release that right arm. Good. From here, maybe taking some softness into both knees, or that little wiggle or bounce can be done with the inversion. Good. If you like to, you might heel toe those feet back in towards center a little bit, maybe turning those heels in toward each other. Finding a little bit of a frog squat here, so fingertips are just down on the ground supporting. You can bring those heels all the way together if you wish, or you can keep them a little separated. And then a little added challenge of coming up onto the balls of the feet, so lifting the heels off the ground and keeping them lifted through this movement. So if you like to, you can stay here, or you can flow this shape, taking the hips down toward the ground, and then back up toward the sky. And then we'll flow that with our breath, maybe taking an inhale as we lower, and maybe an exhale as we lift. So maybe targeting 5 or 10 rounds, depending on kind of your strength and your desires today. And that's about 3 here if you're following me. Very good. Allowing yourself to just notice what you feel as you flow through the movement. Certain parts might be more demanding. You might notice more strength or more stretch in certain areas of the body as you flow. Allowing this to be an embodied experience, noticing yourself moving through space. Take maybe Another round or two, depending on your count and your needs. When you do come back down for that last round, maybe preparing ourselves for a nice deep squat, a malasana or garland pose. Allowing yourselves to lower the hips all the way down and then lengthen up through the upper body this time. Good. You might allow yourself too to bring in some cushion, a block, or even stack of books underneath the seat for support. If you feel balanced here, the hands maybe can come up into heart center instead. You might notice as the palms press together, the elbows can help open the knees and the hips out to the sides. And if that doesn't feel good for you, you can stop kind of anywhere along the way, or just bring yourself back down to a full seat. That works too. Taking another breath or two if you like it. And when you're ready, go ahead and support with the hands, rock yourself back to the seat. Maybe give yourself a chance to bring the bottoms of feet together, knees out to the sides, and in this space too, you might choose to bring in a pillow or a cushion underneath the seat, just to elevate yourself a little bit. You're coming to sort of open up here through the hip flexors, maybe gently drawing the knees down to the ground just with the strength of the body. Maybe just a gentle reminder with those elbows of the direction you're asking to go. Nothing forced here, so be aware of how much you may be pushing. Allow the breath to guide the shape and stretch here for yourself. And if you like to take it into more of a forward fold, perhaps the feet slide a little further away from you. The upper body can relax down, the arms can extend out. And that's just one way of kind of softening the shape. Feel free to stay soft with it if you like. You can come back to any other depth or level that feels right for you. We'll take 2 or 3 more breaths for this shape, however you choose. Finding an inhale with which you can rise gently back up. And inviting today a full straddle seat, sending the legs out long to each side. And that doesn't have to be or look like anything in particular. And you might even just like to keep one leg in and stretch one leg at a time. That's okay too. If you have that nice tall seat, this is another place where, adding a little bit of cushion underneath the hips can certainly help find that softness and space through the upper legs. Maybe flexing the feet so the toes come back toward the face and the heels press out and away. You might already be able to tell this is a good core workout. Finding that upper body tall posture. Crown of the head rising here toward the sky. You can also take this one into a seated forward fold if you want to. You can lean it forward with a flat back or round the spine any amount. You might not have to go very far to feel a big effect. So be careful with yourself. Be very gentle here. There's no expectation. There's no awards or Olympics. It's just the space that you want to occupy in your body and in your life. Finding how the breath can serve you in this space. Maybe 3 or so more breaths for your stretch, depending on your needs. Maybe finalizing that last breath or finishing the exhale. And when it feels right for you to gently rise back up, taking it with the inhale, 1 moment at a time. Good. Maybe gently drawing those legs back in toward center. The feet might come to ground, hands behind the body, and just gently shifting the knees side to side here. and transition to the back as you're ready, finding the center of the mat with the hips. Coming to release all the way down, maybe take it one vertebra at a time, maybe you kind of flop down all at once. Either is okay for today. Good, and from here allowing ourselves to take what we call another constructive rest shape. Knees staying together and the feet walking out toward the edges of the mat a little bit. So from the front it looks like this, a little bit of an angle here. And depending on kind of how flexible you feel or how open the sacrum is, will determine how far the feet can go comfortably and safely. If the knees are uncomfortable or feel overstretched, walking those feet back in a little bit to support yourself and help just stay safe. Relaxing the head all the way to the ground. Maybe noticing if you can soften any more through the low back or the sacral spine at the base of the pelvis. Giving breath there to the sacral spine, the low back. Taking whatever space may be offered here and expanding the breath into it so that you can keep that space open. Maybe taking another couple of breaths here if you choose. And when you feel ready, maybe walking those feet back in towards center, a toe or a heel at a time. Maybe shifting the knees side to side if you like. Maybe finding that little massage there on the sacral spine. An option to center those knees and then bring them in toward the chest for a nice hug. Maybe you wrap the arms around, maybe connecting the hands or the elbows. Maybe squeezing the legs strong into the torso to help wring out the internal organs. Maybe you take the tailbone a little closer to the floor and compress the hip flexors a little bit more. That can feel like a nice squeeze too. Good. Taking a little bit of twisting shape. Maybe the arms release out from the shoulders. You might take both knees over to one side or just cross the body with a single knee at a time. Maybe the gaze comes over the opposite hand or kind of behind you, so to speak. Giving a little breath and space for reclined twist. Always feeling free to find supports under or between the knees if needed. Taking time and space to breathe here. Maybe 3 or so more breaths on this side. Maybe noticing if you can bring back that principle of efficient softness. Relaxing everything in the body as quickly as possible, as deeply as possible. One more breath or so, perhaps on the side. Finding the next inhale, maybe strengthening the navel toward the spine to lift both knees together. And then setting up for the second side, be that crossing one knee over the body or both knees together. Again, maybe taking the gaze out over the hand that's behind you. And allowing yourself to fully release and relax through the body as much as you can. Full deep breaths helping to inform that space of gentle relaxation. Softening anywhere that there may be splinting or resistance.
noticing yourself here in the space, grounded and supported. Maybe taking another 2 or 3 breaths as you choose. Noticing for yourself when you feel satisfied and ready to come back to center. It may be now, it may be in a few more breaths. When you are ready, rising those knees back in towards center. Maybe again, just taking a little tilt side to side, or any other shape, stretch, or movement that you may need now at this time. Allowing ourselves to take a couple of minutes here in a final relaxation, maybe extending the legs down the mat. Maybe the arms just gently resting by the sides. You might cover yourself with a blanket for coziness and comfort. Allowing yourself to stay grounded here for a minute or 2 or 3 or even 10. Just give space here for like 2 more minutes of quiet rest. Giving yourself the space and time to fully clear the mind. To just notice the gentle flow of your breath in and out. And at the end of that time, I'll go ahead and ring the singing bowl. And we'll work toward that close of the practice. For now, just sinking yourself into the ground. Melting away into the space. As you're ready, gently allowing yourself perhaps to deepen the breath. Bring awareness back to your physical self. That sense of flowing breath, the pulse, the energy within you. Finding awareness for the space that surrounds you. Allow yourself perhaps to start to move gently if you wish to. If you prefer to stay grounded and soft, I encourage it. If you'd like to close with me from a seated shape, if you're starting to give those wiggles to fingers and toes or circles to the wrists and ankles. Maybe taking bigger movements through the arms and legs, maybe even a hug of the knees into the chest or the arms around the body. Maybe rolling yourself to one side or gently pressing up to a seated shape if you wish to close from that place. Perhaps bringing the hands into heart center if you wish to lift up through the crown of the head. Maybe pressing the palms helps to roll the shoulders back and down. You might focus on some intention or wish that you have for the rest of your day, or even the next few minutes. We'll give voice and vibration to these intentions. If you wish to, join me in a chant of 3 Om or 3 Hum, starting with a nice deep breath. Honoring the light, the love, and the divine in each of you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for joining in on this practice. Let me know, please, if there are any questions, comments, or anything you just need more help or support with. I'm happy to be here, whether that's live and concurrent or through messaging or email. Happy to be of service here and looking forward to sharing space again with you next time.